right, welcome into 305 Guys on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on 5 Reasons Sports. Got Alex Donno. You can find him at Alex Donno. We're going to talk Jimmy Butler today as soon as I sneeze. There you go. God, I was
By the way, I'm
back,
still sick as well. Like I had a couple weeks ago, I was sick. I was about to get better. I went on a cruise and I got sick again, and I'm still sick.
Yeah, my daughter's still sick too. I don't know what it is. Typically, aren't you supposed to sneeze twice? I don't know if that's bad luck that I just didn't. Anyway, 305 guys. That's where we are here. Prize Picks. That's our sponsor. Use the code 5 FIVE. Put down $5. Get $50 to play right away. I haven't looked at the Jimmy numbers yet. Going to take a spin through them. I will say that if you're planning on playing Jimmy Butler tonight, my suggestion is to play over on the other categories. Not necessarily the points. And everybody thinks he wants to go out there and get 40 or 50 against the Heat. Firstly, I don't know that he's capable of that on a regular basis anymore. But also, that's not really the way that he tends to approach these things. I kind of feel like he's going to want to get his teammates involved, show he has better teammates, and win the game. So that's the way that I would assume he's played. And if you look at the way he's played at Golden State, his scoring is not up for Miami. It's actually the assists and rebounds that are. His efficiency is actually down as a scorer. So I'd play him over on the assists in particular tonight. I think that seems like a pretty safe bet.
What about the combined? They got here the stat combined points, rebounds, assists at 34.5. For the three of those combined, do you think he'd go over on that? I might.
It's the points part that worries me. You figure he's averaging about 6.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. So you're at 13. So you're assuming 21 points or more, I suppose. I mean, I think it depends on how much they think they can get out of Steph tonight. He's coming in questionable, although I am expecting him to play. So, depending on where he stands, I think it's a pelvis injury. Depending on where he stands, I think that will affect it a little bit tonight. But I do think Jimmy's going to try to get everybody involved. I actually think he's going to try to make his impact known more on defense. I might play. There's a steals and blocks category there. It's the stocks. I think I would play him over on steals tonight. He's going to be matched up with Wiggins a lot, I would figure. And people are forgetting too. Wiggins is a quiet guy, but he scored 42 in the last game. He scored 30 in the game before. I don't know that he necessarily wanted to be traded. I know he's trying to embrace Miami. But as much as they've shown love to him since he's left, he has something to prove tonight too. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Andrew has a big night offensively. And also, he is going to be guarding Jimmy quite a bit, although I think Bam may start on Jimmy because Wiggins starts on Curry. So there's a lot to watch tonight. But again, use the code 5, get $50 to play right away. It is legal in the state of Florida, and flex plays are allowed again. So those were not allowed for a while, but they are back on the board. So check those out. Now let's, as we get to the episode here, I've talked too much about Jimmy Butler. I think we got 3 episodes out right now. Brady went down and was there for the Jimmy interview. We talked about his comments. I had Ohm on from ESPN to talk about his article that he wrote about Jimmy when he spoke to Jimmy in New York, spoke to Jimmy and Draymond about 3 weeks ago about their sort of budding, interesting friendship. And then also Alex and I did an episode about what we might want to see in the tribute video, which, by the way, and we've known this and I've been suggesting it, is going to be at introduction. So when Jimmy's introduced, they're going to do the video. So make sure you're in your seats tonight, which I recommend you leave now. If you're in Broward, it's 1:20.
It's already too late.
I recommend you leave now. But so everybody's heard enough from me on this, okay?
Yeah.
As someone who follows the Heat, roots for the Heat, has been here for various other returns. I mean, Ricky Williams returned. Jason Taylor returned with the Jets way back when. People kind of forget about that one. Zach Thomas returned with the Cowboys, though that wasn't his choice to leave. Dan Marino never left, but a lot of players have left and returned. I mean, Huberdeau returned with Braun, obviously. Many guys in the Heat space. What are your feelings going into tonight?
Okay, so the first thing, because I've got a lot of feelings to unpack. The first thing is this is the most excited I've been for a Heat game in several weeks, given the way the season has gone. So this has been a date that, and I know I'm not the only one, I've had March 25th circled on my sports calendar really since the day that he was traded. Like, okay, now we know where he's going. He's a Golden State Warrior. When does he come back? Okay. The team has been I'm glad they finally snapped that 10-game losing skid the other night. They've been, unwatchable to borderline unwatchable even since before Jimmy was traded. So this really gives me, as a Heat fan, something to be emotionally invested in. Now, as far as what those actual emotions are, I feel a certain way about some of the things that he said, and I'll get to that. But the closer we get to this tonight, the more, and you guys can let me know in the comments whether you agree with me or if I'm way off on this compared to how you feel. But I'm starting to feel more and more grateful to what accomplished here the closer that I get to this. And when I'm not going to be in the arena tonight, but I'm sure they're going to cover it well on television because this is a bigger storyline than the actual game itself. So I'm assuming the coverage is going to be pretty good this evening. I'm at that point, and maybe it's just because he's back at Kaseya Center tonight for the first time, where at least for right now, I'm a little bit more grateful for what he and his teammates accomplished here than I am bitter about, the way he orchestrated his exit and all that. So I'm probably going to have some feelings, when that tribute video is going on and when I'm watching Jimmy on the court, and I'm very anxious to hear I'm sure it's going to be a mixture, but what's going to be the percentage of cheers versus boos? I'm very curious to hear how that plays out, but I'm going to be grateful for, the NBA finals runs. And I know the way Jimmy talked about it was just kind of like, it wasn't anything that special because we didn't actually win anything. We just had some fun. We won some games, whatever. It meant more to me. And obviously I've been a Heat fan, for the entire duration of the franchise. So I've seen them win 3 championships, and winning is a lot better than losing in the finals. But him taking those 2 teams to the final, I'm appreciative of that. I thought those were great runs. And so I find myself a little bit less bitter and a little bit more grateful heading into this tonight. And I see Broham says he'll be rocking his Jimmy jersey. So I guess I'm not the only one that feels this way, but it's still, despite that, Ethan, it still does feel a little bizarre, like hearing him, like, and I know it's like watching him speak. It's like part of it was like him maybe kind of going out of his way to not sound petty, but a little pettiness kind of snuck through, when he downplays the Heat culture and when he kind of, downplays how meaningful his time here was. Like, oh, well, yeah, I guess basically to summarize, basically saying that Heat culture is not about like the culture making the players. It's about getting the right players who know how to win and that kind of stuff, which I know Heat fans didn't take all that well. He talks about embracing being the bad guy, which I still feel like he doesn't like being the bad guy, whether he says that or not. So yeah, listen, I'm not thrilled with Jimmy. I'm glad he's not part of the Heat anymore, despite how bad the team is this year. I think it was important to move forward and hopefully soon start the next chapter. But this is a milestone. Seeing him play again at Kaseya Center tonight, it's going to be emotional for a lot of Heat fans. And I don't mind if he plays well tonight, but God, do I hope the Heat win.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you about a lot of that. Jimmy's a contrarian. He was going to say whatever you don't want him to say. It's kind of the way he's always been, both positively and negatively. The Heat culture stuff, I actually kind of agree with him about some of that. I don't really like how that's become their marketing slogan. I've never been a big fan of that. It's really hard to forgive the way he left.
Yeah,
I think most fans feel that way, that whatever part the Heat played in not helping him get over the hump, however you felt about his contract extension, those are all reasonable conversations to have. The way he acted over the last like 6 weeks, particularly some of the stuff that I know about from behind the scenes, it's difficult. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of staffers who work for the Heat who are going to feel as warmly as maybe some of the fans do. And I'm curious to see how some players react tonight. He had pretty much like 2 allies left in that locker room by the end. One of them has been hurt for 4 weeks, so he's not even going to be out there. So that's one of the things that I'm curious to see plays out. As far as how the crowd receives him, if you look at the way they're doing this, it's pretty clear. He's going to get cheered for the most part with the video, because the video is going to recall all these memories. And he gave people those memories. He was the driving force behind it. Nobody can take it away from him. He's a top 5 player in Miami Heat history. You could argue as high as number 3, anywhere between 3 and 5. I think you have a case. So I think that that's all going to be warranted. We also got to understand is that there are always Warriors fans here when the Warriors are here. They only come once a year. It is a national team now. They have the most likable player in the sport. He's going to play tonight, and it appears Steph is going to play. And so I think that what you're going to see is you're going to see him get cheered. He's going to get booed every time he touches the ball. And then I think if the Warriors are blowing them out, the Heat fans that are there and were there are going to leave. And then, so if that's the case, I think it may turn more in Jimmy's favor towards the end of the game. I could see that. Now, if the Heat make this competitive and interesting, as they always did whenever LeBron came back, then it's a different thing. Now, the problem is the Heat, when LeBron would come back, the Heat often had Dwayne on the roster, and the Heat fans would rally behind him, and he had some games that were significant there. I don't know if you're getting that from Hero or Bam tonight, so we'll see. But I feel like that's going to be the wave of it tonight. I think a lot of Heat fans are where you're at with it. I think as more time passes, I think more will be healed. I don't think he's getting his number retired anytime soon, if ever, based on what I've heard. If the leadership of this organization is the same, I don't think it's happening. I think LeBron happens before Jimmy does. So this is really the night to do this. I'm reading this comment from and we'll get to our ad and then we'll close. Easy macro. Ethan got better camera and internet connection at the Wawa parking lot than at his regular place. That's actually true. You know what? That's actually true. Well, you know what the problem is? I have good wireless in my place. I'm in a dead spot in my apartment. People know this. If you have an Android, I can't text you because I'm in one of these new buildings they built in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and it's, I don't know, it's built in like a big wireless. It's like it's from 1972, I guess. So yes, maybe it is better out here. All right, let me tell you about the sponsor, and then we'll get some final thoughts on this. All Pro Construction Builders. You can find him at allproconstructionbuilders.com. Our guy Danny and his team. I gotta ask Danny if he's cheering for them tonight or not. Give him a call. It's 305-484-4429. 305-484-4429. What do? They'll get you your storm windows. So we know it's not hurricane season yet, but it's always around the corner. And again, you want to get this done early, okay? Because we've missed a lot of storms lately. That's not going to happen forever. So get your home, your place of business, all fixed up with the storm windows. Get it protected from a family business. Big Miami Heat fans. Again, reach out to Danny, allproconstructionbuilders.com, 305-484-4429. Not only will you get the free estimate, but you'll also get 5.5% off your entire order. I'll ask you this. What do you think he does tonight from a performance basis? His role is different in Golden State. He's not expected to be the one. This is kind of what the Heat thought would be best for him. They just couldn't get the guy to pair with him. Right? He's not actually playing better with the Warriors than he did at times for the Heat. He's not. If you look at the numbers, it's just he's in a role playing with the greatest floor spacer of all time, and he's capitalizing on it and helping them win. He's filling in all the gaps, which, I think is the perfect role for him as he ages, actually. But Miami, again, couldn't get a Steph Curry or a Dame Lillard or a Donovan Mitchell to be able to allow him to do that. What do you expect tonight?
I expect Jimmy to go off tonight. And I know that it's always got to be in the context of the team there. Like he's, not the number one option like he was or was supposed to be here. But I don't know. I think, and we always talked about this when Jimmy was here, that certain games he just had an extra gear, usually in the playoff Jimmy. And so I think we're going to get a playoff Jimmy in a regular season game against a 30-win Miami team tonight, and it'll probably take a few more shots than he would in a normal game. The rebounds and the assists are going to be there. So, when I looked at that, I think it was the 34.5 combined points, assists, rebounds. I'm going over that. I'm not saying he's going to score 40, but I think he's probably going to score 25, something like that tonight. Like I think he's going to have a really good game, because the thing that I learned about Jimmy for the past several years in a Heat uniform, I knew it about him before he got here as well, is when he's extra motivated, he can give you a little something extra. That may mean he may take the next game off if he goes a little too hard tonight. But I think Jimmy's going to have one of his better performances of the season this evening.
I'm going to say 19-5-8 tonight. I actually think Wiggins outscores him. I think the way
I would love that. Yeah.
I think the way they're using it, but I also think that they lose the game. Miami loses the game. So I feel like that's the way that this is going to play out tonight. Again, I am not expecting the 30 to 40 point Jimmy game tonight. I don't think that's necessarily the point that he wants to prove. Machman says in here, Jimmy has won games without Steph. The Draymond piece is equally as important. Jimmy never had that IQ here outside of Iguodala. I recommend in that note, it's a good point, and I recommend that you read the article that Ohm wrote on ESPN and listen to him on the podcast. He talks about the relationship between Jimmy and Draymond, and it's a key relationship. Yeah, they didn't have that kind of Draymond piece. The one player I'm looking for to see how it looks tonight between him and Jimmy is Bam. Bam didn't have the biggest problem with him. There were others on the roster who did, but clearly they went in different directions over time, and a lot was put on Bam as a result of Jimmy's behavior over that period of time, especially when Bam was the captain. Bam's expected to do everything for the organization. I'm going to watch that one more than anything else. Well, Alex, I appreciate it. Check out all the other coverage here on the feed. I am in the Apple family. That's the problem. I can't text Androids. That's what I was saying. Anyway, I will do the show from the side. I will do the show from the side of the road from now on, guys. If that makes you all feel better, so that's fine. We'll be back on Thursday. Enjoy Jimmy night.